Ethan Cross looked out of the small window of the starship, watching the stars streak past like silver rivers. He felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. This was his first trip beyond Earth's solar system. The mission was simple, but important. Represent humanity at the court of the Aurelian Empire, powerful alien race far from home. Ethan was only 28, a skilled engineer with a calm mind and steady hands. He was not a soldier or a politician. The leaders had chosen him because of his cleverness and ability to solve problems. But now, as the ship neared the Aurelian capital, his heart beat faster. He knew this mission could change everything. The starship docked in a giant space station that floated like a jewel near a blue-green planet. The planet's surface shimmered with huge cities and tall towers that touched the clouds. The Aurelians lived there, in a world very different from Earth. Ethan stepped off the ship into the bright hall of the station. The air smelled strange but not unpleasant. Tall figures greeted him. Their skin was pale blue and smooth. Their eyes were large and golden. Their voices were soft but clear. These were the Aurelians, the rulers of many star systems. He bowed politely. A guard led him through long corridors to the palace where the royal family lived. Everywhere, holograms floated in the air, showing scenes of Aurelian history and proud victories, but Ethan felt out of place. The Aurelians moved with a strange grace. Their clothing was elegant and strange. It's made of shimmering fabrics that changed color. At the palace, Ethan was introduced to many nobles and officials. They looked at him with cold eyes. Some whispered behind their hands. A human? He'd do for us? Fragile Wakwai, trust a species so new to the stars. Among the crowd stood Princess Liara. She was unlike the others. Her golden eyes held curiosity, not scorn. She watched Ethan with interest, as if trying to understand him. Like her stiff relatives, she smiled gently when their eyes met. Later, during a formal dinner, Liara approached Ethan. Her voice was soft but confident. "You come from a small world," she said. "But you carry something different. Tell me, what do you think of us?" Ethan smiled, feeling more at ease. "I see a proud people," he said, "strong and wise, with great skills. But I also see fear. Fear of what is different." Liara nodded. "Fear can stop us from learning new things. I think you may teach us more than we expect." Their conversation was interrupted by a loud explosion. The hall shook. Guards shouted as alarms blared. Ethan and Liara rushed outside to see smoke rising near the royal gardens. Someone had set a trap. The palace was under threat. Chaos filled the air. Soldiers ran to protect the queen. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He pulled Liara behind a statue and looked for the danger. A small group of attackers hid behind bushes, armed with strange weapons. Without hesitation, Ethan grabbed a broken branch and charged. His training helped him move quickly and strike hard. He disarmed one attacker and knocked down another. Liara watched with wide eyes, but did not hesitate to join the fight. Using her agility to distract the enemies, the guards soon arrived and captured the attackers. The palace was safe, but the danger was clear. Someone wanted to hurt the royal family. Ethan's bravery had saved the princess's life. After the attack, the queen, Saraxa, called for a meeting. Her voice was cold as she looked at Ethan. "Who? Are you human? And why should we trust you in our home?" Ethan stood tall. "I am Ethan Cross, an engineer from Earth. I was sent to help keep peace. I am not a warrior or a noble. I only want to learn and help." The queen's eyes narrowed. "Words are easy. Actions matter. You must prove your worth." Liara stepped forward. "Mother, Ethan has already saved me once. He is brave and honest. I believe he can be more than just a guest." The queen studied her daughter. "You speak boldly, Liara. Be careful. Trust can be a dangerous thing." Liara smiled softly. "Sometimes, Mother, the greatest strength is to trust the unexpected." The room fell silent. In the days that followed, Ethan found himself drawn deeper into the Aurelian world. He studied their technology, learning new ways to fix and improve machines. He talked with scholars and soldiers, slowly earning respect. But he also saw the cracks in their proud society. The nobles looked down on humans. Many feared that humans were too primitive to survive among the stars. Some plotted to send Ethan away or worse. Liara, however, continued to visit him. They shared stories of their worlds and dreams. She told him about the Aurelian history, about their ancient wars and fragile peace. Ethan spoke of Earth's struggles, of humans' hope and will to grow stronger. One evening, as they walked under the stars on a palace balcony, Liara looked at Ethan with a serious face. "You are different from anyone I have met. I want you to stay not just as a guest, but as my partner." Ethan was surprised. "Partner?" "Yes," she said quietly. "In this strange new time, we need to find new ways to stand together. I trust you." Their hands touched lightly. In that moment, the gap between two very different worlds seemed to close. But outside, in the dark halls of the palace, eyes watched. The queen's question still hung in the air. Who was Ethan Cross? To the princess. The palace was quiet except for the soft hum of machines and distant footsteps. Ethan Cross sat in a small room, waiting. He did not know how long he had been there, but the weight of what was coming pressed on his chest like a heavy stone. A tall door slid open with a hiss. 2 guards entered and motioned for him to follow. Ethan stood and walked carefully down long marble corridors toward the throne room. His steps echoed in the vast space. At the end of the hall, the great door opened to a room filled with golden light. Sitting on an enormous throne was Queen Syraxa, ruler of the Aurelian Empire. Her pale blue skin glowed softly, and her eyes, sharp and cold, fixed on Ethan. "Come forward, human," she said with calm authority. "You stand before Syraxa, Queen of Aurelia. Tell me again, who are you? Why should I trust you in my kingdom?" Ethan swallowed his fear but did not bow. He looked straight into her eyes. "I am Ethan Cross, from Earth. I am here as an envoy and engineer. I want to help keep peace between our peoples." The queen's lips curled into a faint smile, but her eyes remained hard. Words mean little. Actions prove truth. "Impressed, my daughter? But that is not enough. I will test you." Ethan's heart raced. A test. "Yes," said the queen. "Aurelian tradition holds that those who serve the empire must pass trials of mind and spirit. You will face the trial of the crystal labyrinth." Ethan was confused. "Trial of the what?" Syraxa waved her hand, and a holographic image appeared in the air. It showed a giant maze made of shining crystals. The labyrinth is a puzzle of light and reflection. Many have tried and failed. It is designed to confuse the mind and challenge the soul. If you succeed, you will earn my respect." Ethan nodded. He was no stranger to puzzles, but this was unlike anything he had seen. The next day, Ethan stood at the entrance to the crystal labyrinth. The maze glittered under a high dome, with walls made of smooth, clear crystal that reflected the bright light inside. Every step he took made the light twist and change. He took a deep breath and entered. Inside, the maze was confusing. Walls reflected and doubled endlessly. Every corner looked the same. Every path seemed to lead back. Ethan's mind fought against the dizzying reflections. He moved carefully, touching walls, watching shadows, searching for clues. His training in engineering helped him notice small details others might miss. Tiny scratches, differences in light angles, faint marks left by previous travelers. As he moved deeper, the maze changed. Some walls shifted silently, creating new paths. Strange symbols appeared on the floor, glowing softly. Ethan realized this was not just a physical puzzle. It tested his mind and his ability to adapt. At one point, he reached a vast chamber, where crystals hung like chandeliers, sparkling like stars. In the center was a pedestal with a glowing orb. The air buzzed with energy. Ethan approached carefully. He touched the orb, and suddenly, images flashed in his mind. Memories of Aurelian history, battles, and peace treaties. He understood the importance of balance and unity for this empire. The orb pulsed with light. then slowly floated away, revealing the path out of the maze. Ethan stepped forward, heart pounding, and found himself outside the labyrinth. The doors closed behind him with a soft chime, back in the throne room. Queen Syraxa waited with Princess Liara at her side. "You have returned," the queen said, her voice steady. "Tell me, human, what did you learn?" Ethan bowed slightly. "I learned that strength is not only power, but wisdom. Aurelian Empire has survived because of its ability to change and grow." Syraxa nodded slowly. "You see deeper then." "Most, that is rare." Liara smiled brightly. "I told you, mother. He is more than a guest." The queen turned to her daughter. "And what do you say of this human now?" Liara took Ethan's hand in hers. "He is my partner." Murmurs echoed. Around the room, some nobles gasped. Others exchanged wary glances. To Aurelians, the word partner meant more than friendship. It meant trust, alliance, even love. The queen raised a hand, silencing the crowd. "Very well. If you are to be her partner, you must prove your worth to all." Over the next weeks, Ethan's days were filled with lessons and tests. The Aurelians showed him their technology, ships that could fold space, weapons that bent light, and machines that healed wounds with a touch. Ethan absorbed everything eagerly. He worked side by side with engineers and scientists, sharing Earth's simpler but effective methods. Sometimes his ideas surprised the Aurelians, simple fixes that made machines stronger, faster, or more reliable. But not everyone welcomed his presence. In the grand halls, whispers followed him like shadows. A fragile human trying to play with gods. He knows nothing of honor or battle. The princess will bring ruin to us all. One noble Vorin was the loudest. He sneered whenever he saw Ethan. "You do not belong here, human. This empire is not for your kind." Ethan ignored the insults, but he felt the weight of their hate. He had come to this world to build bridges, not walls. Liara stayed by his side, encouraging him. "Ignore their fear," she said. "You are changing them without even trying." One day, the queen invited Ethan to a private meeting. They sat in a quiet garden filled with glowing plants that shimmered under the moonlight. Ethan Syraxa said, "You have shown courage and wisdom, but politics are a different battle. You must be ready." Ethan looked at her seriously. "I will do whatever it takes to protect this peace." The queen smiled faintly. "Good, because there are forces that do not want us to succeed." As Ethan left the garden, he felt a new weight settle on his shoulders. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. His place here was no accident. One evening, Ethan and Liara stood on the balcony overlooking the city. The stars above were bright, but the city below was alive with tension. Liara turned to Ethan. "Do you ever wonder if we are meant to change things? It's not just for Aurelia or Earth, but for the whole galaxy?" Ethan nodded. "Maybe that is why we met. Two worlds different but connected." She smiled softly. "You are not just a guest here anymore, Ethan. You are part of my world." He took her hand gently. "And you are part of mine." In that moment, the distance between stars seemed small, but in the shadows of the palace, the eyes of Queen Syraxa watched closely. She asked again, quietly to herself, "Who is this human to my daughter?" The question hung in the air like a promise and a warning. The halls of the Aurelian palace were busy with preparation. Guards checked weapons and armor. Technicians tested machines. The air was thick with tension. Everyone knew the war with the Krothic was coming. The Krothic were fierce enemies of the Aurelians. They had fought many battles, and now the threat had grown close. Ethan Cross watched from a quiet corner. He had learned much since arriving. The Aurelians were strong and proud, but they had weaknesses. He saw how fear and old grudges weighed heavily on them. Still, he was determined to help. Princess Liara stood beside him, her golden eyes sharp and focused. "The Krothic will try to break us from within," she said softly. "They send spies and traitors, trying to weaken our unity." Ethan nodded. "We must be ready for anything." Suddenly, the palace alarms rang loud and clear. Guards rushed past them, shouting orders. Intruders in the royal gardens. Krothic! Spies. Ethan and Liara ran toward the danger. Smoke curled above the trees. Soldiers fought with shadowy figures moving fast and silent. Ethan's heart pounded. This was no simple attack. He grabbed a fallen branch and moved quickly. His training made him strong and fast. He knocked down one spy and helped a soldier catch another. Liara used her agility to confuse the enemies. Together, they pushed the attackers back. After the fight, the palace was tense. The queen, Saraxa, stood in the throne room, calm but serious. "Who is this human to you, Liara?" she asked, looking at her daughter. Liara took Ethan's hand. "He is my partner," the court gasped. In Aurelian culture, this meant a bond deeper than friendship. It was almost unheard of between species. Some nobles whispered angrily. One man, Vorin, stepped forward. "This is madness. A human in the royal court? It will bring ruin." Saraxa raised a hand. "Enough. Ethan has proven himself. But you must remember, the court watches every move. Trust is fragile." Ethan felt their eyes like knives. He knew his presence upset many. But he stood tall. He was no longer just a guest. He was part of something bigger. Days passed, and the palace prepared for war. Ethan worked with the engineers, sharing ideas. He showed how humans use simple tools in clever ways. The Aurelians listened. Some were surprised by his ideas. One night, Liara found Ethan in the workshop. "Your ways are different," she said. "But they work." Ethan smiled. "Sometimes, the simplest way is the best." Liara looked at him, her eyes soft. "You teach us to see new paths." But the danger was not just from outside. Vorin and others grew bolder. They spread rumors, saying Ethan was a spy or a threat. Evening, Ethan was walking through the palace when a group of nobles blocked his way. "Human," Vorin sneered. "Leave this place before you bring dishonor." Ethan did not back down. "I am here to help. Your fear blinds you." Liara appeared, standing between Ethan and the nobles. "Enough. He is with me." The nobles grumbled, but stepped back. Liara turned to Ethan. "You must be careful. They do not understand you." Ethan nodded. "I will be ready." Meanwhile, Krothic forces grew stronger. Their spies sent false messages trying to trick the Aurelians into war with other allies. The palace was full of secrets and lies. One day, during a royal council, Saraxa received a warning. "The Krothic plan a large attack soon," the general said. "They will strike the capital." The room fell silent. The queen looked at Ethan. "You have ideas, human?" he thought. "Quickly, we need to use their fear against them. If we make them doubt their spies, they will hesitate." Saraxa considered this. "Very well, you will help plan our defense." Ethan worked day and night with commanders. He suggested traps and surprises, using technology in ways the Aurelians had never tried. Liara watched with pride. "You are becoming one of us." The day of the attack came. Krothic ships filled the sky, dark and fast. The palace guards were ready, but the battle was fierce. Ethan moved through the palace, helping wherever he could. He led a small group to block enemy forces trying to enter from underground tunnels, using quick thinking and human-made gadgets. They trapped several enemies and slowed the attack. Liara fought beside him, brave and strong. The palace shook from explosions, but the defenders held. After hours, the Krothic retreated. It's defeated for now. The queen stood on the balcony looking at the stars. "You have done well, human." Liara smiled. "I told you." Saraxa nodded slowly. "Maybe humanity has a strength we did not see." But the war was not over. Within the palace, enemies still waited, those who hated Ethan's place beside the princess. One night, Ethan overheard a secret meeting. Vorin whispered, "He must be removed before he ruins us all." Ethan's heart sank. He was a target. He told Liara. She looked angry but calm. "We will face this together." The days ahead would test their courage and trust. The stars above held danger, but also hope. Together they would fight for peace and for a new future. The morning sun spilled through the tall windows of the Aurelian palace, but inside, The air was heavy with unease. The war with the Krothic had only grown fiercer. The palace, once a place of peace, now felt like a fortress under siege. Ethan Cross stood near the entrance to the royal chambers, watching guards prepare for the worst. The recent attack had left scars, but worse, it had revealed enemies within. Princess Lyara approached, her face serious. "Ethan, we cannot trust everyone here. There are traitors." Ethan nodded. "I heard the whispers." Vorin and his followers grow bolder. Lyra's golden eyes flashed. "We must act before they strike again." That night, the palace was quiet. Most of the court had gone to their chambers. Ethan and Lyara met in a small room, planning their next move. Suddenly, the doors burst open. Vorin and several armed nobles stormed in. "You have no place here, human," Vorin shouted. "You bring danger and shame to the throne." Ethan stood his ground. "I have done nothing but serve and protect," Vorin sneered. "You are a spy, a weak human who hides behind the princess." Lyara stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Enough, Vorin. Your lies end here." Vorin laughed. "We will see. The queen must know the truth." Before Ethan or Lyara could stop him, Vorin left to find Queen Syraxa. The next day, Ethan was summoned to the throne room. The queen's face was unreadable. "Ethan Cross," she said slowly, "Vorin has accused you of treason, that you conspire." With the Krothic, Ethan's heart pounded. "It's not true, Your Majesty. I have only tried to protect the Empire." Syraxa studied him for a long moment. "Words are easy, but trust is earned." Lyara stepped forward, her voice strong. "Mother, Ethan has proven his loyalty, saved my life in this palace." The queen's eyes softened. "I will investigate. Till then, you will remain under watch." Varen's plan was not just to accuse Ethan. He wanted to destroy him. Late that night, Ethan discovered a secret passage beneath the palace. He heard voices Vorin and his conspirators plotting. "They will blame Ethan for the next attack," Vorin said. "Then we will take control." Ethan quickly left, telling Lyara. "They are planning something terrible." Lyara's face hardened. "We must warn the queen." But before they could act, the Krothic launched a surprise assault on the palace. Explosions shook the walls. Soldiers rushed to fight. Ethan and Lyara were caught in the chaos. Using his quick mind, Ethan led a group to seal off tunnels where enemy spies tried to enter. Lyara fought bravely beside him, her movements swift and sure. Despite their efforts, Varen used the confusion to accuse Ethan publicly. Turning some guards against him, Ethan was captured and brought before the queen in the throne room. Syraxa looked at Ethan with pain in her eyes. "I want to believe you," she said. "But your enemies are strong." Lyara knelt beside Ethan. "Mother, do not let fear rule you. Ethan is my partner. Trust him." The queen closed her eyes. Then she made a decision. Release him. But he will prove himself in battle. Final fight was near. Krothic forces pushed toward the palace gates. Ethan and Lyara led a team of warriors and engineers. Using human tactics and Aurelian technology, they set traps and defenses. The battle was fierce. Ethan used his knowledge to create devices that confused the enemy and protected the defenders. Lyara fought with courage, inspiring soldiers around her. Together, they turned the tide. After the battle, the palace was quiet again. The queen approached Ethan and Lyara. "You have shown great strength," she said. "Maybe humanity's heart is the greatest power of all." Lyara smiled. "I knew it." Ethan looked at the queen. "Thank you for your trust." Syraxa nodded. "This is only the beginning." The war was far from over, but a new alliance had formed. Humans and Aurelians stood together, ready to face whatever came next. Ethan and Lyara knew their bond was stronger than ever. Together, they would fight. For peace and for a future where different worlds could unite. The stars above the Aurelian capital twinkled cold and distant, but below the palace was alive with energy and urgency. The Krothic forces were regrouping for a final assault, a battle that would decide the fate of the Aurelian Empire. and perhaps the fate of humanity's place among the stars. Ethan Cross stood with Princess Lyara on the balcony, overlooking the city. The wind whispered softly around them, carrying the faint scent of alien flowers blooming in the night. "We've come far," Lyara said quietly, her golden eyes reflecting the distant lights. "But this is the greatest test yet," Ethan nodded. "We face enemies outside and within, but we stand stronger together." They turned to join the council inside the war room. Leaders from the Aurelian military, human envoys, and scientists gathered to prepare the defense. Maps of star systems, holograms of battlefields, and glowing symbols covered the walls. Queen Syraxa entered the room, her presence commanding silence. She moved to stand beside Ethan and Lyara. "This war will test all we are," she said. "I trust in our unity." The final battle began as dawn painted the sky in shades of red and gold. Krathic warships filled the horizon, dark and menacing. Their engines roared like beasts as they descended toward the capital. Ethan took a deep breath, steadying himself. "This is our moment," he said to the warriors beside him. Lyara adjusted her armor, her face calm but determined. "Hey, for our people, for the future." The defenders moved swiftly. Ethan's human ingenuity blended with Aurelian technology. They had built traps that twisted light to blind the enemy, shields that absorbed energy blasts, and drones that flew like silent hawks. As the Krathic advanced, confusion spread among their ranks. Their own weapons faltered against the strange human-made devices. Ethan led small teams through the chaos, disabling key targets with precision in the midst of battle. Ethan spotted a group of Krathic warriors trying to breach the palace walls from underground tunnels. He rallied a small team and raced to intercept them. Using makeshift explosives and clever traps, they slowed the enemy's advance. Ethan's calm leadership inspired the fighters. Even the Aurelian soldiers, proud and disciplined, admired his courage and quick thinking. Lyara fought nearby, her movements like a dance of steel and grace. She protected her people with fierce determination. At one point, she saved a soldier who had been caught off guard by an enemy strike. Back on the palace grounds, Queen Syraxa coordinated the defense. Her voice was steady as she gave orders. For the first time, she looked at Ethan not just as an outsider, but as a leader. During a brief pause in the fighting, Syraxa approached Ethan. "You have changed many minds," she said. "Not just with your skills, but with your heart." Ethan smiled softly. "I only want to protect those who trust me." The queen nodded, her eyes thoughtful. "Perhaps humanity's primitive heart is what we need to survive." The battle raged for hours. The Krathic forces began to falter. Their commanders struggled to regroup as their weapons failed one by one at the decisive moment. Ethan and Lyara led a charge that broke the enemy's line. Their combined strength and strategy overwhelmed the Krathic, forcing them to retreat. Cheers rose from the defenders. The palace was safe, the empire secure for now. After the battle, the palace was filled with celebration and relief. But Ethan knew the real victory was more than just military success. It was the bond formed between two very different worlds. In the throne room, Queen Syraxa stood before the gathered court. She raised her hand, commanding silence. "Who is this human to you, Lyara?" she asked once more. Lyara stepped forward, her voice strong and proud. "He is my partner, in battle and in life." The court erupted in applause. Even those who had doubted Ethan now bowed in respect. Days later, Ethan and Lyara stood on the palace balcony again, looking out at the stars. "Do you think the galaxy is ready for us?" Ethan asked. Lyara smiled. "We will make it ready. Together." Their hands touched gently, a promise of hope and unity. The story of Ethan Cross and Princess Lyara became a legend told across star systems. It was a tale of courage, trust, and respect. The power of two worlds coming together. The Aurelian Empire and Earth began a new era, one of friendship, discovery, and peace. And through it all, Ethan was known simply as the human who stood proudly beside the princess, his partner in every way.